Cruise news time. Well, we've got a disgruntled Carnival passenger demanding that cruisers like you and I, that we stop talking to crew members. Also, all of this conversation about curfew and mischievous children and feral packs of teenagers, well, it's brought out some folks saying that, look, all of this talk has resulted in some unfair parent shaming. Cruise parent shaming. Cruise news and my views. Let's talk about it. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Lido, Loca. I'm your host, Tony, here with the latest cruise news and my views for your consumption. Happy Saturday, everybody. They're going to launch that Artemis rocket toward the moon today. So if you're over in Port Canaveral, you might run into some traffic. It could be a little contentious because there's a lot of cruise ships in there. I'm just saying, I hope they have a successful rocket launch today. So by the time I make my way to PC tomorrow, that the crowds will be gone. And wow, it's exciting. When I was a kid, the whole concept of the moon launch, I was born in 71, we went to the moon in 69, and then there were more moon missions while I was just a little kid. When I was in the 3rd grade, Wally Schirra came and spoke to us, and so this idea of going back to the moon with new technology is pretty exciting. But anyways, I hope there's a successful rocket launch today. It may have happened by the time that the show has come out, and I hope that there's no traffic in Port Canaveral tomorrow. But let's talk about cruise news. Cruise news story numero uno. There is a Carnival passenger demanding that regular cruisers stop talking to crew members. They made their appeal to brand ambassador John Heald, and they recounted a story where they were waiting to order their coffee at the Java Blue Cafe on the Mardi Gras, and they were delayed significantly because the people in front of them wanted to jaw jack, to have a conversation, to chew the cud, to break it all down with the crew members. The long wait in the coffee line and the ensuing dissatisfaction caused this passenger to reach out to John Heald, and John Heald swiftly said, "What? Don't talk to the crew members? No way." One of the biggest excitements for crew members and for passengers is that interaction, and at no time would Carnival or anybody representing Carnival tell people not to talk to the crew members. And I understand that answer. I think it's a fair answer. I think it's the right answer. However, I do see the point a little bit of the people that were waiting in line that had to wait extra because somebody wanted to have a long conversation with the crew member. I think there should be some unwritten etiquette, some social rules here that says that if you are the head of a line, there's a few things in life I believe. I believe if you are the first person at a red light waiting to make a left turn or to go straight, you should not look at your phone. You should be trained not to look at your phone. Your only job is to freaking move when the light turns green. If you don't do your job, you mess up the whole line of people. Look at your phone if you're car 3 or 4, but if you're 1, and I would say even 2, pay attention. You should pay attention in every position, but we know how life works. But I think you should if you make car 3 miss a left turn green light because you were looking at your phone, you were looking at TikTok, you were looking at Twitter, I think you should be double penalized if you get a ticket. That's what I think. But likewise, if you are the head of a line, especially a long line, do not dilly-dally. If you're just ordering coffee or sandwiches or something, get the order in and get out of the way, and don't have some long conversation with the person that has to wait on the 20 people behind you. Now, should there be a prohibition against talking to the crew members? Certainly not. But should there be an unwritten rule that says if you're holding up a line that somebody should be able to push you out of the way without any consequence? I think maybe yes. I think maybe yes to that. Have you ever seen this on a cruise ship where somebody's desire to interact with a crew member overrides your ability to get the service that you need in a timely fashion? It is not right, I tell you. It is not right. Another thing that isn't right is parent shaming. I've never even heard of parent shaming, but in the comments over the last few days, I've heard some interesting feedback regarding parents and children and curfews and behavior on cruise ships. I got to address it all because I've got some pretty passionate views about this also. But before I do that, I'd like to quickly invite you to subscribe. If you like staying up to date with everything that's going on in cruising, please consider subscribing with the notification bell on. That way you don't miss out on any of these episodes. And look, you guys have been clamoring for a carousing t-shirt, and I've been scratching my brain on what kind of carousing t-shirt I would make. And well, I made one last night when I was in an odd creative space. And I kind of like this t-shirt. So the very first carousing t-shirt is up on our Teespring store now, and this is what it looks like. It's kind of freaky, but I like it. Also, the Halloween season is upon us, right? And if you'd like to represent the Loca fam with a little Day of the Dead, kind of fall feel, you can also get yourself one of these Lido Loca Sugar Skull shirts over on the Teespring store. Link is in the description below. All right, yesterday we talked about the new policy coming out from Carnival that places a curfew on minor children 17 and below, unless they're doing some sort of carnival activity in one of the teens club, the Club O2, that kind of thing. If you're not doing any of those organized carnival activities, then once the 1 a.m. Time comes, you have to be in your cabin. If you're not in your cabin, you will be subject to possibly being disembarked from the cruise ship at the next port of call, you along with your family. And a lot of people said that 1 a.m. is still too late in the evening, that the curfew should be like 10 or 11 a.m. You could probably make a good point for that. Others also said that Royal Caribbean International has had this policy for a long time. I did go look at the guest conduct document, the most recent one on Royal Caribbean. It did not specify a curfew for youth, but under the curfew section, it did say that they expected that parents that were traveling with minor children, children that are 17 or younger, and even parents that have brought 18, 19, and 20-year-olds on the cruise ship, that the parents should be responsible for what their children are doing. And I think that's a pretty common stance. I think that if you laid it out there and said parents should be responsible for what their children are doing, well, that seems pretty even keel, pretty fair in my opinion. But I've seen comments that have said, well, no. Look, parents are trying to take a vacation, and all of these calls to say that parents should be looking out for their minor children and their somewhat adult children is ridiculous, and it equals parent shaming. Can we stop shaming parents for the behavior of their children? A second thing that occurred in the comments as I've talked about the behavior of children is people have asked me, don't you remember what it's like to be a kid? Kids will be kids. Why are you so uptight about kids being kids? Don't you remember what it's like to be kids? Okay, I want to address both of those. First and foremost, should parents be responsible for their children that they brought onto a cruise ship? Yes, I don't think it's parent shaming to say that if you brought your minor child who you birthed out of your body or helped create with your activities, that you should be responsible for that minor child that you brought on board. Yes, not only for their safety, but also for the serenity of the rest of the cruising community that you've interjected your kids into. I know the popular idea is that it takes a village to raise a kid. Well, on the cruise ship, we're not a village, and we're not raising your kids. So make sure that your kids are doing the right thing. And then the second thing that I want to address, somebody said, well, kids will be kids. Don't you remember what it's like to be a kid? I do remember what it was like to be a kid. I was a horrible kid. I'll give you a couple examples. In 1982, the Atari Corporation launched what was really the beyond Pong in the late 70s. The Atari 2600 is essentially what started the home gaming console revolution. That came out in 1982. My parents are awesome parents, and in December of 1982, they secured me an Atari 2600 for Christmas. And on that particular Christmas, we went over to my Mama Dora's and my Papa Wayne's to celebrate Christmas, and we were spending the night there on Christmas Eve to wake up on Christmas morning and open Christmas gifts. And as a 11-year-old child, I had to go to sleep, but the only place that I could sleep was on the floor in front of the Christmas tree. And so I went down to bed while the adults stayed up and played cards, where they hung out just a few feet away at the dining room area talking about the day. And well, they wondered if I was asleep. And once they started wondering if I was asleep, which I wasn't, I started feigning. I started acting as if I was asleep and listening in on their adult conversation. And my parents were very excited that they were able to secure an Atari 2600 for my Christmas the next day. They talked about it with glee and joy, and I laid there eavesdropping on my parents and my grandparents, and I was in gleeful bliss that I would wake up and get to play with an Atari video game system. And so I drifted off to sleep with visions of playing Pac-Man and Pitfall and all of the fun that my 11-year-old heart could contain. But when I woke up early on Christmas morning, like at 5 a.m., and woke up everybody in the house so that we could open up Christmas presents, well, I turned into a huge jerk face. In the form of, I knew that the big box under the Christmas tree was the Atari 2600, and I knew that the 4 little boxes were probably games. And so when it came time to open presents from Santa, my parents said, you got to open this big box from Santa. You've been such a good boy this year. Santa, I feel like Santa did you right. And I refused to open the big box. And it frustrated my dad to no end. And he was like, you got to open the big box. And my mom was always good at spoiling me a bit. And she was like, honey, if he doesn't want to open the big box, let's not make him open the big box. And my dad had that look like, I should kill this kid right now because he's a little jerk. And so they gave me one of the little boxes, and of course I opened up Pitfall, the premier game for Atari 2600, and I sat there and I went, wow, Pitfall! I don't even have an Atari 2600! Why would you get me Pitfall? This seems like a crazy gift! And well, eventually I opened up the console and all was right with the world. But whatever possessed me as a little 11-year-old mischief child to take my parents through that journey of ruining the big surprise, I think it's just a statement as to how kids are wired. And every kid's probably not like me, but I've had my own kids, and I've been around 6 kids, and I've helped raise 6 kids into adulthood, and kids are jerky. Let me just say that. They're awesome, and they're jerky at the same time. And then fast forward, like, don't you remember what it's like to be a teenager? I do. Any chance I could get in trouble, any chance that I could hang out with my friends, any chance that I could do the thing that I was told not to do, I absolutely wanted to do that. And I doubt that teenagers have changed much since then. So, to wrap it all up in a big bow, is it parent shaming to look at a parent that brings their children onto a cruise ship, into the cruising community, into that area that we all share, and say, hey parent, you should look after your kids. I know you're on vacation, but none of us signed up to be your babysitters. The cruise line didn't sign up to be your babysitters. Is it shaming to say that you should look after your kids? I'm going to go out on a limb here and say it's not. So let go of the pearls and take care of your kids. How about that? How about that? I'm just a few hours from picking up my brother and my sister-in-law at the airport. They're leaving on a jet plane. Don't know when they'll be. I do know they'll be. I know when to go to the airport and pick them up and bring them here. And then we got to go sleep one time. And then we do cruise day. How about? Happy Saturday, everybody. I love that cruise life. I love you guys. Much love to the Loca fam. Thank you guys for putting up with my wackiness. I'd love to hear your comments on any of this. Do you think you should not talk to crew members? Do you think you should not hold up a line? And is it parent shaming to say that you should take care of the children that you shot out of your body? Thank you so much for checking out the show today. I sure hope you enjoyed it. And if you did enjoy it, you could hit the like button. Unfortunately, if you do not hit the like button, I will be forced to punish you. And your punishment will be this. Every Christmas that you have, the person that you're trying to surprise will guess every Christmas gift that you're giving them. And it will just be a big, annoying, unhappy gift-giving experience. And if you're somebody out there that always guesses the gift, this is one I had to learn personally. Stop doing that. Nobody wants that ruined. So I apologize to all my family for always guessing the gift, and I don't mean to do that, and I'm trying to work on that. Thank you in advance for the like button. This is Tony for Lido, Loca, and until then, I love you, Mama. And until the next time, I'll see you on the Lido.